Testing, testing. Okay, now we're solid. Got my volume in there working. That's my microphone. And make sure everything's good here. That. Okay. All right. So you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to do a deep dive today. Um, so lately there has been a lot of buzz around ClawdBot, right? And I just now they've changed the name to Molt.Bot. Um, but it's been a huge amount of buzz around this, and for me, um, I want to take it with a grain of salt because last time there's let's see if I find this chart. So I have this chart of Molt.Bot and kind of where I wanted to take it, kind of understand like if in a perfect world, if it did all these things, would it be useful to me? Um, One of the things I consider is, does it have session memory, and do I have like a memory skill that I can work with it, where I can go back, maybe it's connection to a database, maybe it's connection to a vector database, but do I have that sort of connection in like this thing? Because if I have a connection to a database that's common, then I can actually expand the features and its capabilities. So one of the things I'm looking for is like, all right, what features does it have? So I'll be looking at that. Another thing is if I were to use it again in the perfect world, if this thing does the thing that everyone says it does, then I kind of want two agents. I want one agent based on the way it says like this centralized agent. So I would want an agent kind of manage all my code. Hey, I wake up in the morning, tell me how my code base is going, tell me what features are going in, tell me what stuff I need to be working on, what stuff is in development. So I would want an agent to kind of look through some of my projects. I would probably have a secret manager to kind of keep everything secret because I don't want all that stuff exposed inside of whatever. Usually, if you're using like Cloud Code or something like this, or one of these agent tools, they're saving it in a Markdown file or a JSON file. I don't want my secrets exposed, so I'm probably going to use some sort of secret manager, and I'm also going to lock it down to like a development secret manager, especially if it's looking at my code base. So I only need it looking at it in a development environment and not necessarily exposing anything in production. So I want to make sure there's a separation there if it is touching code. And then making sure it's when it's pulling code, it's really just read only. And if it does has a push code, it only can push to a PR. Um, it can never push to a production environment. And so, yeah, I want to make sure you can only push to a PR and not into my main. Again, keep bad things from happening, right? Limit exposure. So yeah, I would like to have a code manager. On the flip side, there's the virtual assistant. I think this is the thing that everyone's trying to figure out around the Molt.Bot. Is like, how do I have like this virtual assistant database? And here are like core skills I would look for if I'm going to build on top of this. Like what skills I would want my virtual VA. I needed to have a listening skill so I can take audio, I can transcribe audio, I can get transcripts out of that, and I can store these transcripts somewhere. I would want it to have a reading skill. So if I needed to digest some articles, read some news, I need a reading skill. Also need a writing skill. Um, and I would like to split the writing skill. So maybe it's writing an email, maybe it's writing a article, um, or a blog post, or maybe it's writing a script for a podcast or writing an outline. So I want to give it a writing skill. And then the cool part is I want to also add a conversation. I heard this before, but I want to add a conversational skill, and not just any conversational skill. I think what I would want to do is have a skill where I built in and leverage Vappy, where I can bring in a hook for the call, so it can make outbound calls. So say, hey, look, I want my VA to go make a call. You're my assistant. I'm gonna give you a list of things to do for the day. One of them is go make a call to X, check on something, maybe make a call, set up my doctor's appointment. I didn't have a doctor's appointment, go set up my doctor's appointment. Have my VA make the call, get the transcript, so stores the transcript from the conversation, and then sends me a text message say, hey, boom, this is what happened in the call, right? So yeah, have those things, maybe some outlines of some suggestions I kind of figured out. So it's a conversation skill, and then there's like other skills that I would have it do. Maybe later on I can have it like financial skills or some other things. So it's like, what else can I expand? So as I got into it, I was like, man, that's a lot of stuff. Before I even discover, because that's where my brain was going, like, let me build on top of this Molt.Bot, see what their ecosystem looks like, and start building all these skills on top of it. But then I thought, man, this project's already open source. And I'm sure if I looked at the Discord channel, which I guess I was proven right, if I look at the Discord channel, the vast majority of the Discord channel is just like people trying to figure out how to use this thing. Despite all of the YouTube videos, because what I've seen from YouTube videos, it's like everybody's saying this is a cool new thing. Go set it up on a Mac Mini or a VPS, and from the looks of it, no one really, really details like installation A to Z, adding skills A to Z, doing a task. People have said it does it, but I haven't seen it. So because of that, I'm like, all right, maybe it's hype. Let's find out how much of it is hype and how much of it is real. Right. So today I'm just going to do a deep dive. Right. We got all these things. The first place I like to go, especially when I'm looking at open source, one of the first places I like to go is one. I'm going to take their repo. So they have a GitHub repo. Let's open up the GitHub. So we have the GitHub repo, and since it's open source, I can do something pretty cool with that. And the thing that I usually do is I'll take this, and for anyone who doesn't know about this, in plain English, what you can do is go to deepwiki.com. And in deepwiki.com, it allows you to paste in that repo. So now I'm going to paste in the repo, and boom. It's going to give me a full outline of what this repo is and what it does. So now I pasted in the Molt.Bot repo. Again, this has how many stars on GitHub? This thing has, wow, 92,000 stars on GitHub. And I don't have to go through all this code to kind of digest how it works. I can go here, and it gives me a full breakdown. So I got the overview, key concepts, getting started, installation, onboarding, architecture, configuration, components. Yeah, everything is important about this repo. I get a full breakdown from DeepWiki. Not only do I get a full breakdown from DeepWiki, I have this Q&A that I can ask. And so I have a Q&A where I can go back and forth. This is all built by this service called Devin, which is like another coding agent. I use this as well. I've used Devin, and Devin's pretty good. If I wanted something that lived inside, like if I wanted a coding agent that lived inside of Slack or something, and it responded to like errors or GitHub issues, I think Devin's a great choice for something that's like responsive to error reporting. All right, but DeepWiki is special when it comes to researching and deep diving on open source repos, especially if you're not looking or reading through the code. It was built in TypeScript, but we don't have to necessarily dive into the TypeScript. I just want to get a handle on like what is there, what is this ClawdBot, what am I getting my hands on? So what is Molt.Bot ClawdBot, formerly known as ClawdBot? personal AI assistant, connects with agents and real world messaging channels. So I think the key value here for a lot of people is that we've taken it out of the terminal and we put it into like this messaging platform where more people have access to it. Um, if more people have access to it, it kind of makes it easier to educate folks on. Especially, you can get access through Telegram or WhatsApp. Um, the it I basically it creates more entry points and it lowers the friction for someone getting started that won't necessarily know what they're doing. Um, or maybe they know what they're doing, they just want something easier, right? So, real world messaging channel, the system enables user interaction with AI agents through their familiar WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage, 9 other platforms. Core value proposition: run one gateway process that orchestrates agent sessions, manages channels, connections, enforces tool policies, and provide remote access. Cool, that's dope. WebSocket gateway. So we have a WebSocket, one WebSocket, agent runtime, channels. So it's kind of breaking down how we divide this thing: channels, tools, nodes, companion apps, Mac, iOS. I think I've heard a lot from people saying like they'll install this on a Mac Mini or something. So I guess the node is kind of where this thing lives. Cool thing, we get a system architecture. So now we can look at the architecture of this thing. So this is the user surface where people come in. I think I saw in the Discord someone mentioned like connecting to Discord, but technically you connect it to whatever you want. WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, web chat browser, CLI, all connects to this gateway. So as long as you have, because this thing is inside of a gateway, as long as something can communicate with the gateway, if you have a channel that communicate with this gateway, you can connect it to it. And again, it's open source. So yes, these are like the ones they have available. If I wanted to connect something else, it's possible. Let's see. Gateway, WebSocket, protocol. They have auth. I think they're using like OIDC or something. Credentials, ClawdBot credentials, storage. Kind of want to understand this a little bit more. I don't know if it's necessarily pressing to understand that right now, but I do want to get a handle on like this section. What are they doing with these credentials? So there's a config, there's a session. I'm guessing the session is like by the CLI window. Config, workspace. I know they have, I looked at the documentation a little bit. They have agents that are split into like their own workspace. So each agent has like a workspace associated with it or something like that. We'll figure it out. But I know there's something going on there. What else do we have? Agent execution, Pi embedded runner, source agent, Pi embedded runner, session manager, compaction engine, tool registry, sandbox, exec approval. So we have like this approval process in this tool layer. All right. I mean, it's pretty simple. There's not a lot. There's not too much going on. And again, like I said, it's in TypeScript, so we can see it's using the .ts extension. All this kind of split out into TypeScript files that kind of run the show. Let's see what else we got. Key architectural properties, single control plane, process isolation, all behaviors, routing. Core components, the gateway. Again, we talked about the gateway is the thing that sits at the top. So our gateway is our core component. Gateway is central control plane. Our gateway has so we look at like how, because it's an AI system, of course it should have cron jobs, so we can schedule things out for later. WebSocket, RPC calls, cron jobs, cron scheduler, control UI, OpenAI API, control, and message events. Queue. This is like the core of our gateway. I love this tool. Agent runtime. All right, so resolve session ID, build agent prompt, resolve model, build. We talk about channels, agent execution lifecycle. Gotcha. Summarize history and compaction. System prompt construction. Inject workspace. I know as you're building an agent, all this comes into play. We'll look into that too as we get into it. And you know, when I'm doing like these deep dives, I'm not necessarily looking for anything specific. I'm really just like glossing over, because again, I start from, hey, I want to build out a lot of these features, and then from the understanding that I want to build out these things, I kind of want to see where those capabilities are. Maybe I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Maybe I have to extend some of the core functionality, or maybe I'm building these set of skills outside of that. But I kind of want to just get a lay of everything before I dive deep on building any one feature. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm glossing over it, but kind of getting a handle for what's available inside this system. And again, I'm also determining what's hype and what's real. What's real? What's hype? Ooh, camera, where you going, camera? My other camera is freaking out right now. I gotta love it. I think it's dancing. Yeah, this is wonderful. If anyone's on live in any of my other rooms, you probably see my camera just dancing. You mind not doing that, buddy? Can you find me? Yeah, stop dancing. Oh, it's shaking. Yeah, I have one of those like really fancy cameras, but this thing is twerking on my finger right now. Calm down, buddy. Calm down. No, he doesn't want to calm down. No, it refuses. All right, I'm gonna have to go fix mode on this thing. Jeez, get it together, boy. I don't know what I did to make you start twerking.
Built for construction crews and the people who manage.
For anyone watching that was a little something.
No paper, no guessing, no
All right.
more overpaying. Send the daily schedule with
I can imagine what it was. I don't know. I got black hat, black sweatshirt, and black guy. These fancy cameras aren't really made for black faces. All right, let's go. Channel reputation, monitor pattern, event loop.
For a little savings, Specialist Miller buys in bulk. For a lot of savings, she bundles her home.
Sometimes if I see something and like it stands out as something I really want to look into, I'll just make notes of it. And so this would be one of those things where I'm like, all right, I keep seeing it. I'm just like off screen, I'm making notes. So I'm seeing these access controls. If we look back, right here, we talked about this off pairing source security, session, ClawdBot credentials. So there's some stuff happening there with the security in this source security folder that kind of controls a bunch of other stuff. So I'm kind of curious what else is in that source security folder, because it's handling a lot of things. Even messaging normalization. So it's going to check the access control before it does that. So let me just do security. Just make a note to myself to go check that folder out, whatever's in there. Auto reply, command detection, session routing, agent execution. Cool. Message flow. It's an inbound event. Channel monitor receives platform specific event. Envelope construction, normalized standard envelope. The envelope has the message or thing inside of it. So maybe that's not necessarily a message inside the envelope. Maybe it's an image in the envelope. Maybe it's an audio file. I'm guessing the envelope kind of handles the things that are inside. Show me something. Ooh. This has changed. Ooh, 4 days ago. It's interesting. Let me see. You cool? Yeah. You cool? So the thing that's interesting about this, please wait 6 days to refresh again. Refresh this wiki. Yeah. Part of the reason why Deep Wiki is so fast is like they index a code base. And so this was recently added, but it hasn't been indexed in a while, and we can see changes that have happened 5 days ago. It takes 6 days for this thing to re-index if I wanted to re-index. But 5 days ago, we can see like this change. Again, this code base has only existed for 21 days. So I can imagine like the way they're doing things is constantly changing. And this so happens to be a section where things are constantly changing. Session key binding. All right. So yeah, we already have this routing. This envelope no longer exists. Platform tools, session tools, Discord, migration. Looks like he has like he's looking for like he's built out like some tool primitives. The browser primitive, canvas, node, message, some basic writing. Remember, I was looking at like, if I were to look at like skills as what were my primitive skills: listening, reading, writing, conversation. And so he kind of did the same thing here, where you can see, all right, he got some core tools. So he has the core tools. The tools kind of sit below the skill. So the skill says, here's how I handle a tool. So a writing skill is, here's how I handle a writing tool, which is just instructions on using the tool. So we can see core tool, it's writing, editing, read, write. Cool. And so the skill I would build on top of that would just be, all right, how do I leverage the core tools in order to perform the task? Then we have platform tools. Then we have Gateway, cron jobs, Slack, and Discord. So I guess the first core platforms that he was building on was Slack and Discord. Funny enough, because I saw someone ask for a feature like adding Discord.
Great. The new GoDaddy
So
Arrow
core
has
skill.
AI marketing tools to help
Core tool.
small businesses easily reach thousands of customers. It writes sweet social
Agent,
ads and
agent
email
default.
marketing. It even
Oh, and you have
analyzes the
policies
results
for
to
your
boost
tools too.
business.
Sender
I got a
specific,
startup in
group
my
specific,
game.
channel
Some
specific,
sweet new
provider specific, agent level, global defaults. This is kind of cool. So you have tools.
You,
Hey, my friend,
just you,
calm down.
building your app on base 44.
You have tools, which is cool.
One thought,
But then you also have the policy for how the tools get used.
when you need your tools, bring them in.
Again, so if you wanted to like really lock this down, you can put policies behind it too.
Create something
Maybe if you have a group, so certain people with certain groups, they can use this thing, or only certain channels, only specific providers can use specific tools, or only agents have access. So you can, the other part of it is like I can limit access to the agent, but then the agent that I'm accessing can have limitations to the tool usage as well. So that's cool. I like policies. Making sure we write out policies. Storage and state. I think I've read somewhere that said the storage is like strictly markdowns, but what else do they have? Oh, yep, there we go. OAuth. I don't think it's going to work with Anthropic anymore because they kind of locked everything down for them. That's cool. So it is keeping credentials in these files. I don't know how I feel about that. And what it's doing with the credentials. I don't know how I feel about that. You see our agent, our default agent gets access to everything. It's running Anthropic Opus 4.5. Gets access to everything. What would I do differently about this section? I think the one thing I would do that I like that Mostra does is I can leverage something like Light LLM. And within Light LLM, it becomes my like LLM gateway. And so I can start off with Opus 4.5, or if I run out of tokens there, I can just fall back to maybe Kimi, or I can fall back to DeepSeek. I can have my model that I want to use. I can do limitations there. I can have fallback models. I can have more policies on what things can and can't be used. So I think what I would do here a little differently is just allow me to use something like a Light LLM gateway to kind of manage all the resources. Like I want to separate those things. So let Light LLM manage those resources, manages my LLM, manages the MCPs, and then on this side, now that we've given control over there, then yeah, from this side, I can just state the model, state what I wanted to use, and then let Light LLM go, all right, you handle how the agent has access to this stuff. I think that's what I would do. So we said we got this gateway. So I mean, it has its own gateway, but yeah, I think I like the idea of using like a Light LLM gateway.
Get managed hosting for WordPress and run it with the world's first AI agent. Create your WordPress site.
I'm kind of curious, like if it has its own gateway, because I know ClawdBot. Again, we can be able to dive into it. I know ClawdBot doesn't care necessarily about the. It doesn't care about the
for WordPress. Go for it at hostinger.com.
The model that I'm using, so I can have multiple models installed. And I'm thinking, well, would their gateway directly compete against it if I were to use like a light LLM or something? If so, then I guess I could just leverage their gateway too. But I would probably consider like how much of the infrastructure they have ready inside of their gateway versus a light LLM, which already has a community, already has the infrastructure inside of the gateway.
And start elevating your content today.
We've already kind of gone into like this flow. Registration, policy filtering, agent invocation, execution, approval gating. Now, so we have the concepts kind of broken down. I know I saw the channel concept. I was a little bit confused about that, but this kind of explains it. Channel connects messages, messaging platforms to the gateway. So the channel, I love this tool. So we have, let me get like a light. There we go. So we have like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a channel. And then, well, a channel connects the messaging platform to the gateway. So the channel is going to connect we think of this as our channel. And this is what ultimately connects the messaging platform. So WhatsApp is our messaging platform. Our channel is the middleman, and then we have our gateway, which is ultimately where we want to get to, where all the action happens. Boom. So channel connects middleman to the gateway. Channels connect messaging platform gateway. It's either on or off. So a channel, among all of our channels, this specific channel. So when we look at channels.channels, what we're saying is this guy specifically. This is our channel. This is our channel. And our channel is either on or off. Authentication credentials present. It's checking for authentication credentials. So I guess channels. We looked at this earlier. Policy, security, session. I believe it might be in the output. And that changed, so I don't know necessarily where it is today.
Send it in seconds and know it's you. No chasing or follow-ups. Plus, there's even a personal and group chat to easily reach anyone.
Let's go up a little higher.
Construction crew needs in one app. Start your free trial now at connectteam.com.
And we have it on our
I
credentials.
used to say, if I hear AI
This is
one
what
more
it
time,
is.
I'm gonna lose it. But Monday.com is super easy to use and knows how to do AI right. My team quit going through endless documents ourselves. Monday Sidekick handles that now, pulling the crucial info and then prioritizing.
So before it makes that call, check to see if it's linked to some credentials.
Before they even open their laptop.
I'm guessing it's coming from somewhere else.
And action suggestions constantly, especially on those back-to-back meeting days. All these AI features are built directly into Monday.com and actually use our real data. With Monday.com, AI isn't some over-promising feature. It's here. It just works. Like, actually saves us time and resources.
Gotcha.
Monday side.
Channel checks for that.
You'll love to use. Start a free trial today at Monday.com.
Connected active session with platform. And then we get into access control. So there's some little RBAC that's associated with it. Yeah, so for anything happens, like, you know, the lead in is really in this channel section before anything goes on. Everybody's trying to figure out this VPS thing. Again, not knowing necessarily if that's the way to go. If you don't know what you're doing with the VPS, and you are one of the many people who are exposing your secrets in your VPS, do not set up a VPS. Don't be that guy. You got everything in there. You're bragging on LinkedIn with your AI posts about how you have all your channels set up and your AI assistant can write all your emails and read all your emails, and only thing anyone has to do is reply to your email with a prompt and get all of your credentials. Don't be that guy. So please set up your VPS responsibly, or have someone else do it, or don't put it on the VPS at all. Just, hey, this thing is brand new. For me, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to do another live where I set this up. I'm just going to set it up at home. I'm not so comfortable that I would just put it out on the net. Something that has only lived for less than 30 days, and we're just going to drop it on the web. So it's a little ambitious for me. It's a little bit. All right. So we got our gateway configure quick reference, gateway off token. If you're doing the OAuth, it should generate a token for you. And I guess everything flows with like that token in the header. Let's do a deep dive of the architecture.
Hey everybody, Molt.Bot
Token off, client use spare token. So I'm guessing if it does have off, whatever returns from that handshake, we can store and then run it as a bear token. I don't see anything about auto refreshing. So I guess once you have the token, it lives for the entire session. Maybe it lives forever. I'm not sure, like the lifespan of that token. I'm wondering. Again, these are things where like off screen, I'm just writing down notes. Kind of curious, because if somebody gets a hold of like an old session or something, or they find an old token, is it valid? Does it still work if they just grab that old token to just run commands? Is it possible?
I'm gonna be on my
Yeah. Check it. Already done. It would scribe in minutes. Every step is recorded automatically. There's no typing, no script. Just do the process once.
Tool execution. Cool.
Share it instantly.
So that before basic tools.
Wait, you said it was called Scribe? Work smarter, not later. Try Scribe.
Those are policies. Good Lord. Oh, look at that. Plugin channels. Microsoft Teams is in there. They all run through the same thing. I saw a video that was saying if someone could figure out, how to optimize it with Microsoft Teams. But again, here's the code. They've already kind of figured this out. You just got to apply it. The other cool part about DeepWiki is I could run DeepWiki and then have Claude run a query inside the DeepWiki. So it's like Inception. I'm getting deeper into the wiki. I can have it run a query inside of DeepWiki and then check the outputs and then have it understand how something is working. So if I wanted to build an extension, so say for example, the plugin is not necessarily anywhere in the marketplace, but there's an idea of how it could be provisioned that exists inside of this DeepWiki. So the person who built this kind of anticipated someone building this out. And so with that, I can have the query done. All right, let me know what you find, and then take that information and then build a skill on top of that. So have Claude Code go build a skill on top of that. The cool part is like if you get some sort of manager within ClawdBot that can understand that and go, all right, let me go read this code base. Let me go check out the DeepWiki. Oh, yeah, let me build this feature inside of your skill. Running the documentation, I could run like the sandbox operator that builds that skill out. So the future. That's pretty cool. Everything that comes in normalizes the message, where it came from, blah, 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 group ID for group chats. Also saw a suggestion, don't put this thing in a group chat. I would probably agree. Not unless you have a closed system. Like, all right, everybody can't just talk to this thing. Or different people talk to it get different responses.
This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder.
Oh, these are tools. Tools are registered. So you can register all your tools. Tools are just code. Now here's the browser tool. Let's look at it.
And here it is. Everything I laid out in detail as it goes. This is pretty awesome, but I want to make it playful. So I'm going to add a swipe left and swipe
Search
right.
tool.
Same usability we all know. Now I'm going to add one more feature.
Fetch
So
tool.
every idea that I favorite will turn into a kickoff prompt to start building the app itself. And that's it. Just come up with your idea.
This is really clean.
And Base 44 will do the rest. So go to Base 44 and create
Almost too clean. It's really clean.
Make a move with hosting yourself. Bring your idea to life with Hosting Your Horizons AI. You just need to describe it. Sign up for a 1-year plan and get up to 2 months for free.
It's in here.
Create powerful websites and apps without writing a single line of code and go live with 1 click. Now, for less than half of a streaming subscription, try for 30 days without risk. Join more than 4 million people going online with Hosting It. Learn 1 day until day 1 with AI website and app creation. Go for it at hostinger.com.
Exec tool. Is there any reason why you have it? Always reject. Always allow. Allow checklist. Check allow list. It's just usually like a JSON file with this allow list. Sync from allow list. There we go. JSON file. JSON. can see how they handle plugins. Here we go, back on the VPS nodes. I don't know about this one. Cool. That was a good dive into it. And we have stuff specific to development. Well, I wanted to give this some time. I mean, ClawdBot, or Molt.Bot more specifically, is I can see the potential in it. We're still in the early days. I do have some questions about separations of things. For example, it's like, how do we deal with these policies?
Meet Connecting, the all-in-one app built
You have
for
group
instructional
policies
and people
that I
management.
saw,
Your crew clocks in with their phone,
but
GPS,
like
hours
how
of back
are
and send straight to
our
bingo.
group policies
If you're
managed
no guessing,
per
no
provider?
more
So
or
WhatsApp
Send
has
daily
different group
schedule, all
policies from
details, address,
um,
checklist,
Telegram,
right to their phone. Post an
from
update with safe
Discord,
alert and see it sent.
or is it like a
Stay
global
organized,
group
keep your crew on
policy?
track,
So
and
I
finish
have
every job
some
on time.
questions around how they deal with
Daily
policy. But
basis.
again,
Try Connect
I wrote
free.
notes
Get your crew started.
to look into some different sections. So I'll start off with like high level. Let's breeze over a few things, and then I kind of want to dive down. I know security is one of those things I want to dive into. Because honestly, I have an idea. Like if this is cool, I have a team of developers. I want all my developers with their own ClawdBot. But we're shipping this stuff in production, and I don't want it. I don't want something to be available where we're shipping and someone else can access it, somebody ClawdBot other than the developer. And I don't know if I would necessarily want, like, hey, this ClawdBot is in our teams and it's interacting with us with teams. I don't want somebody else to just jump in because they have a Teams account that they can, make requests for one of my developers' AI assistant. So I kind of want the AI, the virtual assistant to be personal to every user. But I kind of want to understand like how those systems are put together. So yeah, has very real implications for me. I just don't know where it fits today. If I kind of figure out where it fits, then this is solid. This is a game changer. I don't know how much though, right? I heard somebody mention like it has skills, but these are the same skills I set up in ClawdBot. I mean, the same skills I set up in ClawdBot are the same skills I set up in the Claude Code. And so, what seems to be the difference is, with Claude Code, I have the terminal user interface, and with ClawdBot, I have the messaging user interface. And that's great for the average user. But then, someone might say, well, ClawdBot is working without you. Yeah. So is Claude Code. It's running for hours at a time without me. With this whole Ralph concept, it can run into the night while you're not doing it. While I'm sitting here on live having a conversation, it could be running. And so, where's the value proposition? And again, it seems like the value proposition is in the way it delivers the tool to the user. The interface is easier to understand. It's something everybody knows. But what's stopping Claude Code from doing the same thing, right? Interacting directly into the messaging platform, extending that. If Claude Code was extended to work inside of Telegram, WhatsApp, or Discord, how much value would you get out of that versus, say, ClawdBot? If Claude Code could, do all the same stuff with making phone calls, work with 11 labs, having conversation, how much value are we saying that we're getting from ClawdBot? The biggest differentiator right now I see is just the platform. And again, that's really an oversimplification because I've only looked at it so much. So yeah, I am kind of oversimplifying it. But I also want to look at like what is the most valuable use of my time as a developer. Do I want to deep dive and spend time developing against this new tool, or that's crazy? Or do I want to spend the time to just keep extending Claude Code? Right now, I am up in the air, folks. Provider setup. Yeah, I'm up in the air. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards. I'm kind of leaning towards just setting it up to see what it can do. I don't want to just dismiss it all the way. So I think the next time, so I'm gonna do a little bit more of a deep dive, and then the next time we get on, what I want to do is, now that I have like a little bit of a dive into understanding this code base, I want to then go, okay, how do I install it, and what are we going to build? Again, for anybody that didn't know what we did, so we just took Deep Wiki made by Devin, Devin AI. It's a coding agent, and what we did was we took an open source project. Deep Wiki is probably the best way to take an open source GitHub project, paste it into Deep Wiki, get a overview, have a Q&A with the code base. So now I can have a Q&A with the GitHub code base and get an understanding of what's in there, what's not in there, what I can build with it, because it understands between not only this, but what's out there on the internet as well. So I can have an understanding of, all right, this is what's in the code base. Here's probably how you would build into these skills. Here's all the things you can leverage. And then I have a pretty good understanding of the code base without ever having to like deep dive into line by line looking at the code. Deep Wiki just allows me to have a high level overview of what is there and what I can learn from. So that's what we did today. Next time we're going to dive into what we can build and installing this locally. Just doing a quick install locally. Have a better understanding of like what ClawdBot or Molt.Bot is, what I can use it for, and if there are some other differentiating factors that I'm not seeing that it can do that I can't currently do or currently build into with Claude Code. Thanks for joining me, folks. This was dope. I'll catch you next time.